Hello and welcome to Not Fake News. Out of PJ Media, an article by Bridget Johnson. Anonymous calls for BDS versus US to take down Trump. The global hacktivist collective Anonymous called for a boycott, divest, and sanctions BDS movement against the United States in an effort to take down the Trump administration. In the statement posted online late Monday, accomplished by a video of clips of President Trump's campaign, Anonymous called on countries, entities, and individuals to establish travel bans on United States citizens, boycott U.S. made products, divest of U.S. or Trump-related business interests, and apply sanctions on the Trump regime and all of its associates under the danger the United States today possesses against the world. Against the world is resolved. Reciprocally, measures must be enacted against the United States to challenge its shameless actions under the Trump regime. Global response must also come in the form of economic sanctions on products directly associated with Trump corporate brand. The statement continued. As citizens of the world, we must unite against tyranny wherever it emerges and challenge it. As Trump reveals himself to be a danger not just for U.S., but the rest of the international community, it's our right to protect and defend ourselves from the madness of rogue entities with no regard for international law, human rights, or common decency. Public discontent with Trump among self-identified anonymous hackers are increased in the first days of the new administration. The members of the collective posting a guide on how to hack the unsecured Android phone. Trump still uses the members, warning others that an executive order on internet security is forthcoming. Since the election, though, Anonymous has warned the group is poised to release damaging information on the president. You have financial and personal ties with Russian mobsters, child traffickers, and money launderers. A heavily followed Anonymous account tweeted at Trump on January 15th. This isn't the 80s any longer. Information doesn't vanish. It is all out there. You are going to regret the next 4 years. In response to Trump proclaiming his inauguration day on the National Day of Patriotic Devotion, Anonymous declared a National Day of Resistance, proclaiming a new humanity stirs the anonymous hearts and inspires the anonymous actions. We are united as one and divided by zero. After acting Attorney General Sal Yates was fired by Trump on Monday evening, Anonymous called on federal employees to go rogue. To all U.S. employment officials, it should now be abundantly clear you're working for a fascist. Resist, refuse, leak documents we do not need. Tweet a high-traffic anonymous account. In the new BDS call, Anonymous asked the international community from all backgrounds and ideologies across the social stratus and religious to resist the madness leaking out of the United States. We call for creation of globalist boycotts against U.S. state products. We call on you to contact your representative and members of Parliament and Congress and apply sanctions to the Trump regime. Let me just say one thing. For the last 2 years, 100% of anonymous videos on YouTube have been pro-Trump and against the Obama administration. 100% of the anonymous videos and the different anonymous channels that are out there are 100% behind Trump. They love him. They're saying he's the second coming. So this, in my opinion, is a fake anonymous account created by the left. And our next article coming out of PJ Media as well, a story by Nicholas Balassi. GOP Congressman Trump should add more countries to the restriction ban, the travel restriction. Interesting. Representative Paul Labardor said President Trump's executive order placing restrictions on travel from select countries in the Middle East is legal and suggested that Trump's administration consider adding more countries to the list. As a temporary policy, I do not have a problem with it. We do not have to figure out how to vet people who are coming into these countries. I don't have a problem with adding a few additional countries that were not on the list, Labrador said during the conversations with conservatives, even on Capitol Hill today. The executive orders cover Syria, Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen, which are all countries of concern. They came under some visa waiver restrictions under the Obama administration. Labrador noted that the FBI Director James Comey told the House Judiciary Committee in 2015 that he could not guarantee the U.S. Has enough information to fully vet Syrian refugees. It is not that there's something inherently evil about the Syrian people. There's nothing inherently wrong about Syrian people. It's just that they didn't have the documentation on these individuals, and he had contrasted it to the people that were coming from Iraq. For example, the congressman said, Labrador described the executive order as good overall, but has some concerns about the way it was initially implemented with regards to legal, permanent residents and Iraqi translators. We do not have records on these individuals, and I think it should be processed in an expeditious manner, he said. Labrador told reporters that he believes Trump's executive order is within the law. The law specifically states that the President of the United States, for interest reasons, can stop the entry of any immigrant or non-immigrant. The law is actually very clear on that. And it is one of the areas that you guys have done a really poor job of explaining, that there's a difference between entry into the U.S. and issuance of a visa. It's a very complicated matter, he said. The section of the U.S. Code Labrador cited reads, whenever the President finds that the entry of any aliens or any class of aliens into the United States would be detrimental to the interests of the United States, he may by proclamation and for such periods he shall deem necessary suspend the entry of all aliens or any class of aliens as immigrants or non-immigrants, or impose an entry of aliens any restrictions that he may deem appropriate. After reading the language of the law, Labrador said, no, so it's not legal.
Okay, just a quick follow-up for you. You mentioned during the talk there were some countries that you would have added to the Trump executive order, the travel ban. What countries would you have added? Would Saudi Arabia have been one since the hijackers on 9/11?
So I don't have enough information to know what their reasoning was, but I would be open to looking at other countries as well.
Representative Scott Perry agreed with Labrador and added that the executive order is nothing new. It had been adjudicated in the public for a year and a half. The president said that he was going to do this. He ran on this. And most of the American people, by the way, at least the Electoral College, which is in our process in this country, voted for him and voted for this. He said after the event, so while there is a minority of folks out there who are making a ruckus at the airports, in the streets, or whatever they are doing, the fact of the matter is that most of Americans who voted for Donald Trump, one of the reasons is, he said, is going to do exactly this, because they are concerned about their security. Let me repeat that. One of the reasons is, he said, he is going to do exactly this, because they are concerned about their security. Good. And finally, our last story, Project Veritas, journalists terrorized by left-wing operatives. During a Project Veritas sting that went awry, left-wing operatives Lauren Windsor and Ryan Clayton were caught on tape aggressively harassing a young female journalist. The incident happened while Project Veritas was conducting their investigations into groups planning on disrupting the Trump inauguration. Undercurrent. The progressive group under investigation got wise to the sting and turned on Project Veritas journalists, eventually terrorizing the young woman. Every undercover investigation can't go off without a hitch, and every once in a while, one of our hidden camera journalists has his or her cover blown. However, the way this young female journalist was harassed and intimidated goes way over the top. After following the young woman into a taxi and tormenting her with obscene taunts for what probably felt like an eternity, both Windsor and Clayton sent Project Veritas Bob Creamer's regards. "You've been creamed," they shrieked. Robert Creamer is a longtime Allenskite community organizer, convicted felon, and frequent Obama White House visitor, whose nefarious campaign schemes Project Veritas exposed before the 2016 election. Clayton also recently disrupts James O'Keefe's talk at a private event in New York by screaming and making a commotion in front of the door of the venue. O'Keefe noted that it was an attempt to bird dog him into reacting violently. Clayton was ejected from the restaurant, and the police were called. O'Keefe said, "I confronted him outside, and he was surrounded by NYPD about the ridiculous and libelous allegations." He continued, referring to Clayton's crazed taunts, accusing him of being a molester. Violence, agitation, aggression. These people are unhinged and dangerous, O'Keefe said. The next day, Clayton posted pictures online of himself. The next day, Clayton posted pictures online of himself in a neck brace, as if he'd been assaulted by someone from Project Veritas. O'Keefe explained what he thinks is going on. "What you have is a group of people, Ryan Clayton, Lauren Windsor, and others, who are trying to disrupt us. They are trying to wreak havoc on Project Veritas, intimidate us, frighten these people at the private event," O'Keefe said. "Veritas embeds people," he continued. "We don't disrupt people. We don't create violent situations. We don't physically get into people's faces and grab microphones away from people in an aggressive way. You have here an attempt to brand us and create a false media narrative in order to stop us. Rather than trying to stop people, he added, we want to show people for what they are. We want everyone to see what's going on." Well, comment below if you have any comments. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And please, leave us a like. I really appreciate those likes. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.